Welcome back, students. In our last video we have studied about the early calculating devices and who were the people who have laid the foundation of modern computers. And now in this video we'll be starting with the next topic, the generations of computer. So let's start. Computers have evolved over the years to be small, compact and user friendly. See children, what are they saying? They are saying that you have seen computers to be very small, compact in size. Compact means small in size and very user friendly. They are very user friendly. You can use them as in way you want. But in earlier times they were not the way you have seen them today. They were not the way you have seen them today. So to tell you how these small computers evolved, we have to first study about the first generation computer. First generation computers 1940 to 1956. First generation computers started from 1940 till 19. This does not mean that this was the time 1956 was the time when first generation computers came out. I mean they were out of you can say we're not using them. It's just that the time period that is given to you, 1940 to 1956, this were the time in which these generation computers were used, and after this there were few changes made and people started using second generation computers. ENIAC, EDVAC and UNIVAC were first generation computers. They were first gen computers, and on which, what was the concept on which they were used? They were used on vacuum tubes. They worked using vacuum tubes that looked like small electric bulbs. They were large in size and difficult to program. Although they could calculate 300 times faster than humans, they were much slower than computers today. So they have told you that they worked on vacuum tubes, and although they were very large in size and difficult to program, since they were large in size, so it was very difficult working on them, and they could calculate 300 times. They could calculate, the advantage was that they could calculate 300 times more than man, but they were very slow as compared to the computers that are there today. Children, we'll be studying about three of them: ENIAC, EDVAC and UNIVAC 1. ENIAC 1946. Electronic is the full form of ENIAC. Electronic Numerical Integrator and Computer was the first general purpose electronic digital computer. It was the first general purpose, you can use it in general, and general purpose electronic digital computer. It was invented by John Mauchly and J. Presper Eckert, and it was 1000 times faster than Howard Mark 1. What Howard Hathaway Aiken developed, the computer, this Howard Mark 1, it was 1000 times faster than that computer. So it was actually very good, but there were few drawbacks as well. Next, in 1950, EDVAC, electronic discrete variable automatic computer, was an upgrade of ENIAC. Now this was upgraded. The ENIAC was upgraded to EDVAC, and this was done, and it was done by John Mauchly and J. Presper Eckert, sir. Joined hands with John von Neumann. You must have heard the name, and to invent it. And may I please ask you that John von Neumann was the same man who gave the idea of using it to store both data and instructions. So these two, both the sir joined hands with John von Neumann, and this machine stored data on punched cards and led to the advancement of computer. So they started storing data on punched card, and this is what led to the computer. This is what led to the advancement of computers. Now this is how UNIVAC was. You can see in the picture. UNIVAC 1951. UNIVAC 1, Universal Automatic Computer 1, was also a product of ENIAC. It was also a product of ENIAC. It was not the advancement of EDVAC. It was the first machine to handle both numeric text and data. It could handle numbers also and data also, and it was first commercially available computer in the market. This was the first computer that was available in the market for people to see and work on it. Now we'll be studying about second generation computers. Children, second generation computers 1956 to 1963 means this was the time when second generation computers were used. The invention of semiconductor devices called transistors led to the development of second generation computers. Transistors were a smaller, cheaper and faster version of vacuum tubes. IBM 1400 series and IBM 300 are examples of second generation computers. Now children, in this we'll be studying about transistors. So what are transistors? The invention of semiconductor devices. They are telling you that in the last the first generation computer worked on vacuum tubes. Those were small in size and long tubes type structure, that is called as a vacuum tube. And in this, the second generation computer, which means that all the computers that were used in in between 1956 to 1963, they were called as second generation computers, and these were the computers which worked on the concept of transistor. In the picture you can see that this is a transistor. Let me show it. Let me make it more clear to you. This is a transistor. Okay. The invention of semiconductor devices called transistors. Semiconductor devices called transistors led to the development of second generation computers. It was the concept of these devices only, these semiconductor devices, transistors, which helped in the foundation of second generation computers. And transistors, these transistors were, you can see in the picture also that this is a single transistor and it is very small in size. It was very cheap, means people could easily purchase it, and it was a faster version of vacuum tubes. It's but obvious that it worked much way faster than vacuum tubes. And IBM 1400 and IBM 300 are examples of second generation computers. Now third generation computers. Now third generation computer, 1964 to 1971, the third generation computers were made using integrated circuits. Now what were these integrated circuits? In the picture you can clearly see these are integrated circuits. Now the third generation computers were made using integrated circuits in the popularly known as ICs. These had several transistors and other electronic parts on a single silicon chip. They were smaller than transistors, had increased storage and also allowed different programs to run at the same time. Examples of third generation computers are IBM 360, IBM 370 and Apple I. These computers have replaced punched cards with keyboards for input and monitors for output. Now this was a big advancement in the computers. These third generation computers were made of integrated circuits called as ICs, and these had several transistors in them. Several transistors means those transistors that we studied above. This was a single silicon chip, and on that silicon chip we had several transistors which were working on it. And this what happened because of using this integrated circuit, when we started using these integrated circuits, we had an increased storage. We had a lot of storage to store data, and it allowed different. What was the advantage of it? The advantage of it was that it allowed different programs to run at the same time. You could actually run different programs at the same time. Examples of third generation computers are, these are the examples, and these computers replaced punch card with keyboards for input and monitors. Next, fourth generation computers from 1971 to present. Now the fourth generation computers were made possible by the invention of microprocessors, and in the image you can very well see what is a microprocessor. These had millions of transistors and other electronic parts on a single chip. Now see, we had invented transistors in 1956 to in between 1956 to 1963, and those computers were called as second generation computers. Now after the invention of transistors, there was in the third generation computer there was a concept of integrated circuit, on which people started using transistors as well. Means there was one silicon chip, and on that many transistors were there, and that's how integrated circuit was made. Now in microprocessors, the integrated circuits, there were many integrated circuits, ICs and transistors, not integrated circuit, transistors were used, and other different parts were also used on a single chip. This is the single chip. And the fourth generation computers have much great computing power and storage space. Means they were very great in calculation as compared to the previous generation computers, and they had a lot of storage space, and they can also be linked to other devices. This was the biggest advantage of fourth generation computer, that they could be linked to other devices as well. The IBM PC and Apple Macintosh are example of such computer. The IBM PC, Apple Macintosh, these are all examples of such computers where you can use microprocessors. Now, the last, which is fifth generation computers from present to future. That's how we see computers from today till our next generations. And the fifth generation of computer is based on artificial intelligence. You very well know what is artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is basically you can say robotics field. These computers have the capability of reasoning out and making decisions, and they will recognize speech and body gestures and will be capable of learning on their own. Now what are we expecting? We are expecting that the fifth generation of computers will be working on is artificial intelligence, and these computers, the computers that will be the computers that will be of this generation will have the capability of reasoning out. They will have the capabilities of getting the answers, reasons, and making decisions, and they will recognize the speech and body gestures. They will recognize all the speech and all the body gestures and will be capable of learning on their own. They will be able to learn on their own. With this, we have studied about the 5 generation of computers, and now let me start with another topic. Types of computers. There are different types of computers that are divided on the basis of their size, processing speed, storage capacity, and cost. There are different types of computers, children, that are divided on the basis of their size. On the basis of size, small, big, then very big, and processing speed, storage capacity, and cost. On the basis of these, the computers are divided into various types. So the first one is microcomputers. Microcomputers are small in size. These are not expensive and are consumer friendly. They are designed for personal use and are therefore also called as personal computers. They are also used in homes, schools, offices, and so on. Desktop computers, laptop computers, and tablet computers are 3 types of microcomputers. Can you guess that these are the computers that we use today? So the computers or the laptops that you are using today are known as microcomputers. They are very small in size, not that expensive, and are very consumer friendly. You can use them as and way you want. They are designed for personal use also, and that is why these computers are known as personal computers, and they are used in homes, schools, offices, and are various places. Desktop computers, laptop computers, and tablet computers, these are the 3 types of microcomputers. Now, mini computers are bigger in size than microcomputers. See, they are big in size as compared to microcomputers, and are not intended for personal use. And see, you cannot use them in your home also. Means they are not for personal use. These are used in hospitals, universities, banks, and can support up to 200 users at once. Means in our laptops one user can use at a time, and these computers, mini computers, they are so big in size that 200 users can use them at once. They have high processing power and are more expensive than microcomputers. They are very expensive than microcomputers. Next, mainframe computers. Mainframe computers are much costlier than most other computers but are very powerful. These are very costly than other computers, but they are very powerful. They are big in size with huge storage capacity and high speed to deal with a lot of data. They are very big in size and they have a lot of storage capacity, means you can store a huge amount of data in it, and they have a high speed to deal with it. They connect a lot of microcomputers together and can easily accommodate more than 100 users at once. They are used in networked environment like stock exchange, airlines, big businesses, banks and laboratories. They connect a lot of microcomputers together and can easily accommodate more than 100 users at once. They can connect with a lot of microcomputers together and can easily accommodate more than 100 users at once. They are used in network environment like stock exchange, airlines, big businesses, banks and laboratories. Supercomputers. Supercomputers are the most powerful computers. These have incredibly high processing speed and are used for specialized tasks such as space research, satellite control and weather forecasting. As on end 2018, the American Supercomputer Summit was the fastest in the world. India had several supercomputers such as Sahasrati and Aditya. Supercomputers, now what are they telling you about supercomputers? Supercomputers are the most powerful computers, and these have a very high processing speed and are used for a very special work such as space research, satellite controlling, weather forecasting. And in 2018, the American Supercomputer Summit was the fastest in the world, was known to be the fastest in the world. And India also has different supercomputers such as Sahasra and Aditya. So with this, we have finished with the chapter, children. Please read the chapter, make points, make important points, and if you have anything, you can please discuss it with your parents, and when the school will reopen, we'll discuss it in class. Till then, bye. Thank you, children.